right. So, today we're going to be working on a couple of interesting things for Byte Lynx. The biggest one, there's kind of two things. So there's some polish to be done on a new feature we're adding, which is like a hover health bar for things. We might get to that. We'll see. It's kind of uncertain how that's going to go. We'll see how far we get. But then the thing we're going to work on first is changing how turrets work a little bit, or at least optionally changing them so that they can behave a little bit differently. This might become an upgrade in the game, but certainly will be pretty interesting for some custom maps for the Byte Builder update. So we'll get working on that in a second. Before we start, though, I do want to just double check that the Twitch is working, because, you know, it's good to just know if that is functional. Looks like we are live. And we're quiet. Well, we're not that quiet, I guess. Okay. It's like okay. Good enough. I have chat open. If someone says things, I will know about it. Wonderful. All right. So, yeah, basically the turret thing. So currently, turrets work in the space around them. So like you place one here, it'll be able to attack everything in this area. Now the thing is with that is we don't necessarily want that for this new mode. We want it to be that we have like 4 separate cooldowns. So the number of spaces is the same, but we want this to be able to fire all of these spaces, all of these spaces, all of these spaces, and then all of these spaces. And we want to do that because we want to make placement of turret on platform more strategic, and also make this interesting for a shorter range, or in some cases potentially even longer range turrets for custom maps. So we're going to basically make it so instead of it just being this whole area, to being in the 4 spaces in the green, where it's just the intersection of the box and the range. So to do that, we're gonna change how we like iterate over the spaces, and add new ones effectively. So let's look at that. So right now, this is for the single, the current way how it's done. This should probably be capital S. Capital Q for quad attack, because we didn't have any good names for it. I don't know what to call this. It's a feature. It's a thing. Sometimes names are hard to find. And basically, we want to do very similar to this, but we want to do it 4 times for every cooldown that's off cooldown. Now we do a thing up here where we're like, hey, is anything able to fire right now? Because then we want to shoot it. And then we put things on cooldown again. So we kind of actually need to move this logic up here first. So the very first thing we do is need to make it so that the cooldown behaves about the same. We have a special case here for when we're the wake up frame, because we put things to sleep in our game for performance reasons. So we move that there. That will hopefully work just fine. And then here, this is a little bit different. So it's weird because we have 4 timestamps here. So it's like if any of them are on fixed is what we want, right? So we really actually just want to like put a bool in here that's like is wake up frame any. That's false. And then we'll just say this or equal to the condition we want, which is wake up time is this. But wake up time here yeah, no, that's fine, because the single building has one wake up time. So maybe we actually don't need to do this. We just need to reset the timestamps for many or one. Yeah, this if condition actually might be the same because we don't have, like, we have multiple cooldowns to reset. We don't necessarily have multiple wake ups to like signal. So I think this is the same, except for the inside of this is different. This is getting upset because of scope reasons, because this isn't in the scope. Let's put that in the scope. And break. And break. So if we're wake up this frame, then, or if we're not waking up this frame, then we want to set all of their cooldowns because we're firing them. Yeah, this is a little bit of a weird bit of code here. Maybe a refactor would be good, but let's get it working first, and then, you know, we can do the better form. In fact, actually, since we're already iterating over these, we could just like move this inside because this is non-conditional. And it's only on cooldown if all of them are on cooldown, though. Because that's basically like, let's fall asleep. Or not let's fall asleep. Like, we're done, we're not going to fire anymore, but we're waiting. We can't fire until later. So record on wake up so we don't record the unless we actually hit something. So yeah, because when we hit something, we'll keep setting this timer. But we only want to do it for one frame. Yeah, okay. So how are we going to do this? So on the art, on the wake up frame, we want to set the timestamp. But we want to do it for all four, but only on wake up. So let's just do this. This, and move that there, right? And for mirroring, we're also going to do this here. That could be a little bit weird, but if it's already on cooldown, no, that's really bad. We can't do that. We can do it here because it's after we do the check, but we really can't do it up above, because then it will always go on cooldown immediately. So that'll just be a little strange. So we'll have the timestamp, or timestamps plural, getting reset only when we're not awake up this frame. Because it basically means we fired them all. Do we even want that, though? Do we even want that? Like, we want the... So the thing is we only check at specific intervals to attack with this thing. You kind of think it like a zap, not go, zap, not go, snap, zap, not go. And we do that kind of for performance reasons, but also it doesn't really affect gameplay that much. So in this case, it would be like when we're going, if we're not a wake up frame, then we're firing them all. Single turret timestamp, but wouldn't that mess it up? Okay, let's see if I may have broken something earlier. So let's just test this, because I feel like this is wrong. So let's just go see if it is functioning as we hope, but not necessarily as we expect. Okay, so turret, build a wire. Okay, so that should fire. Okay, that's working. Now, if I turn off the power, turn it on, you gotta wake up and immediately do a fire. Because right now it'll like fall asleep. It's in like sleep right now. Turn on immediately as soon as it gets power. So wake up time if we're not this frame. Yeah, this is basically saying like we are firing this frame. Right. This frame, everything goes on cooldown. Which is weird because we actually do our targeting stuff down here to say what spaces specifically are we hitting. Okay, so that should be fine. Damage source, we do some damage, set up things, we get some various positions for stuff. Then we do our iteration over our spaces. We have this function get at range. So we need to make another one of these that instead takes also an integer, which is the quadrant for this. So say public static to int, which is another one, get attack range, get quad attack range at int range. And then specifically we want to get the quadrant, int quadrant. So yeah, how this works is you have some static ones, but we generate new ones in cases. So this is a bunch of ranges at specific values, and then anything over range 5 doesn't do. It should probably be called like turret. Turret single range. Yeah. turret single range 1 offsets. Turret single range offsets for 2. Turret single range 3 offsets. Turret single range 4. Turret single range 5. Okay, so now we're making a turret single quad, which will be actually quite a bit smaller than those. Only int array turret quad range 0. I mean, I guess we could literally bake it for every single quadrant, but we really don't need to, because we can just like call rotate, and that will do it for us. So we can just do that instead. Okay, so turret quad range 0 offsets is gonna be to int, and range 0 is kind of nonsensical. You literally can't attack, but I guess we put in zeros just cuz, so that we have an array that is non-null. But probably that should be an empty array, would be the reasonable thing, just like that. You can't really attack yourself. It's not really a thing. Let's do that. Okay, so for range 1 is literally just going to be like 1 forward. I think this is rotation none, right? Rotation 1, 2, or 3, and then 3. So it's literally just x 0, y is 1. And then for the next set of ranges, I think we want to go further and then the closer one. So it's going to be 2. So 0, 2, and then 1, 1 for here. 0, 2, 1, 1. But these, okay, is that per? Because it's like you go on the shells outwards from the range. This is the range for 1 is all of these. We're basically just taking this. Range at 2 is not going to be inclusive. It'll just be literally those 2. Right, so then we get those 2. Range at 3 is going to be pretty similar, except for it'll be 3. And then we're going, so 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. And then 0, 1, 2, and 1. Because we're always going 1 up. And that's at range 3. And then range 4 is like kind of easier. Let's see. 4. And then we do 1, 3, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1. Hang on. 1, 2, yeah, that's going to be this one. And then our fourth one is going to be x is 3 and then 1. And this is actually range 4. We then have range 5, right, which is going to be a 5, 1, 4, 2, 3. And we're seeing kind of an emerging pattern here. I want to generate these later for ranges over 5. But like for these, it's going to just be writing down just as a static values. See, that looks weird. Why is that different than the pattern we're expecting? Yeah, I think it's still right though. 2, 2 versus 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. 0, 5, 1, 4, 2, 3. And then 1, 4. And then sorry, no, this is going to be, I iterated wrong. 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1. And that makes sense because we're always going to be 1 higher in the x than the y. No, no. Well, yeah, because we're up 1, right? So it's going to be 5, and this will be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we're beyond the range of this display right now. So we have all these here. This would be for quadrant 0. I'm pretty tempted to just give 4 different arrays, just so that we have all the values. That way we don't have to do any runtime like rotations. So how do we put this as like a quadrant thing? So I believe we have a helper function in here that's just like rotate. So we could just on demand rotate and put these into like one of these. I think I want to do that just so that we don't have a bunch of duplicate data, because this is a lot of entries. So if we just do like range offset, public static list of vector to int array, turret quad it's weird because this isn't labeled particularly well. Do people use this elsewhere? No, good. So turret single range offsets. Turret quad range offsets is equal to a new. Now, this is specifically for quad 0, right? Or we could make an array of these. Just a little derpy, but we're going through array of list to array. But sure, let's do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. And then this is for there. Then we would say 0, 1, comma. And this needs to have the type. I guess it can't. Yeah, it couldn't infer the type it wanted. Okay, so we say, hey, do this of range. And then we just want like more of those. But I guess they could just be empty. If we're going to generate them. Decisions to be made about how we want to lay this out. So we say, hey, we have an array of 4 of these things. Read only. Actually, in this case, I don't think we want read only because we want to add to the list inside. Yeah, okay. So, let's see. We need to make function thing. Static vector to int. Static vector to int array. Turret quad range offsets. Or no, get. Name is not good. Get turret attack single offsets at. I really hate it when it does that. It's like terrifying. It's like, did you just like break a bunch of stuff? Who knows? Yeah. And then we have the spike one here. I think this one does a rotate. Get attack spaces. Oh yeah, because that's just the attack spaces. Yeah, so we got get occupied spaces. BC apply rotation to offset. That's the thing we want. There's a form of this, though, that takes it for an array, I think. Yeah. So we want to call this guy here, and then we want to call it with the facing of the index. Now, I'm not sure if it will let me call that inside of here. Because it's referring to itself. Because we'd basically be saying, like, this at 1 makes 2, right? Like, yeah, you can't do that. No, it doesn't. It's unhappy with this idea. Well, no, sorry, it has to be this. It's okay. It actually does. It actually does. So if we do this, and it's not a new, we're just okay. That is neat. So now we just do bc.rotate offsets. These are the offsets 1 and okay, so we need to do this 0 because we want a list and we can't rotate them all, so we'd have to do them one at a time like that. Which is gonna be really wide. I don't think we have a function that does a list of them right now. We could make a version that does a list of offsets. Or we could just move this into the area below. Decisions. BC apply rotation offset. So if we make our quad thing, so this is returning that get turret attack quad offsets at int range int quadrant. Return null for the second, just so we don't get squigglies. Yeah, so there's like two checks here. There's the check to say, hey, do you have enough generated attack offsets for this list? And then you also need to say, do I need to generate a new one from the source set, right? Which probably we should just move out, right? Yeah, let's move this out. Nope. Public static read only turret quad range offsets is new list of array of offsets, and that's all of these except for not equal, just parens. Except that there are these ones. Nope. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we broke something. We were missing like a semicolon, aren't we? Curly bracket, semicolon. Oh, there's 2. Type, that's why. This is a list. Raise it 2D. There we go. Yeah, and we could just be like, this is the source, basically. The unrotated. The rest of these will be generated on demand. Okay, so the first part is basically, have we generated a range that's long enough first? Very first thing. So be like, hey, is source long enough for the range, right? So that'd be like, if range is greater than the turret quad range offsets dot length count, yeah, because we're adding to it. Then we need to make more, right? And we actually have kind of this be like a while loop, because we want to do it until that is no longer the case. So how we make these is we just kind of do a stair step, right? So we are at range. So range is 1 here, and then we step down into the right. So like, for example, range here is 4, so we're at like 0, 4, and then we iterate in the opposite direction. So a for loop should be fine for this, and I is 0, I is less than range, because we have, this is run, we have 1, this is 2, 3, and then 4. So we want that number of iterations, so plus I. Then we, first we need to make the list of the list. We need to make the array the correct size to put the thing in. So var new offsets is going to be equal to a vector2 int array, and we want range of those. And our first one, I, is going to be equal to vector2 int. And for the x, we want I. And for the y, we want range minus I. Right? Because as we go over, we subtract the y by 1 and increase the x by 1. So now that we have that, we just say this dot add new offsets. And there we go. So we should add them out for a lot of range, but we'll have the basic ones to draw on. Now is the question of do we have the specific quadrant generated? So that'll give us out to whatever range is asked for on the source block, which in this case is the term range offsets. It's also going into the 0th index. So now what we do is be like, hey, do we actually have the right quadrant? So var quadrant ranges, or off range offsets, and that is going to be this one, subscript at quadrant, and we should assert quadrant is greater than equal to 0, and quadrant is less than 4. We only have 4 elements. Only for quad. I mean, it's literally in the name. But, you know, we can pass an arbitrary integer here. So we just want to do a slight sanity check on that. Yeah, technically this is also facing. So turrets don't have facing, but it's the same value range. Shrug. Anyways, so now we have this, we want to say, hey, do you actually have up to the range? Because if not, then we want to go through and add up to that range, and then we can return quadrant at range for the target, right? Maybe we call this instead target, or asked, requested, gotten. Yeah, we'll just keep it there. So this is another while loop where we say while range is greater than that, which if it's the top one, it will just be automatically fine because we already did that for the first one. So if quadrant was 0, no additional work needed. But if it wasn't, now we do something kind of similar, but it's easier. We say we want to take this specifically at count, right? Or index count will increase, and we'll say, hey, get that specific one. And then we want to do our BC rotate offsets. And why is that giving problems? BC dot offsets. Oh, it was apply rotation. And like literally it actually just takes facing. Maybe we should say this is Well, it's not facing, though, is the thing, even if it's the same values. So when it's a 0, we rotate it none. When it's a 1, we rotate it 90 degrees and around the circle. So if that's all rotating correctly, that means that we'll take this and rotate 90 degrees. So we'll do the same pattern, but now in 2, in 3, and in 4, when quadrants are 1, 2, and 3 versus 1, which will do nothing. So once we have that, these new offsets just get added into the quadrant range offset, which is the one we're actually looking for. And we do that while range is bigger than the count. And then once count is equal to range, then we're happy. Except for, in this case, range is working as an offset, so I think we don't, it's greater than, because like when count is equal to range, that's actually not what we want, I think. Because range 0 is going to be count 0, so I think that should be greater than equal to. There we go. And then we're going to say, hey, just return it. Return at range. Right, because we already got the quadrant do thing. So in the fast case of this function, we don't do anything, is we just check this count, we look at this index, we check this count, and then we return. Which should be pretty quick. We're not doing any sort of subscripting in here, no allocations, on the case that things are already cached and set up. And we can grow to whatever size we need for things, even if they change it dynamically in the middle of that, which we don't support, but in theory could be a thing. Hey, even we get a range of 0. Like if it's just an array of 0, it'll just be a non-null. Because it'll be range of 0, so it'll be 0 length. This handles 0, right? This doesn't have anything weird with it. Yeah, it checks the offset, so it'll do nothing in the case that it's 0 length. Okay, cool. So what we want to do now is basically use this back in the controller for the turret. So this is how single works. It gets all the offsets at range, and so we're basically doing the same thing that this is doing, except for we're doing it for each quadrant and distance. So it's kind of like this, but more, always more. So first off, we don't care about quadrants that are on cooldown, but we do need to iterate through all quadrants from distance 0 up to their attack range. So we'll do for int I, int quadrant is 0, quadrant, quad range, quadrant, right, is less than 4 plus quadrant, or maybe we should just call it q index. I don't know why it jumps around like that. It's kind of obnoxious. Okay. And then we want to say, hey, this is actually on off cooldown, because these things aren't synchronized. They could be weird on their cooldowns, right? Which is this. Turret quad attack timestamps. Because we know if we got this, if we got down here, we know at least one is up, and so we have to iterate over all of them to see which one specifically is good. So let's give that a go. So bool is on cooldown. Is quadrant on cooldown, and that is equal to at the Q index. So say, hey, get that. Subtract. So basically, hey, the current time minus the timestamp of the attack. If that is less than, then we're on cooldown. If it is greater than or equal to the cooldown, then we are off cooldown. So if this quadrant's on cooldown, then continue. It is not the one that is going to be doing a thing. Now, we also need to pass this in. So this is like the range. I'm going to rename this range because it's called range in here. Get turret quad range Q index, right? And range actually starts at 1 in here. So it's fine. We don't ever touch 0. Okay, so quadrant range, we do a thing. Oh, a thing we probably it doesn't really matter. Never mind. 0, say, hey, look at every range. We get the offsets at that particular range. We do some various checkings of line of sight. And then we actually do the attack, or we try to do the attack, rather. Try to damage space. If that's successful, we show visuals and hit something as true. Now, this break here is not reasonable because we could actually deal damage from multiple things that are off cooldown on the same frame. So hit something break. Well, no, that does make sense for the quadrant, though. So if that quadrant has done damage to one thing, then we want to stop looking at it. So really, this, like, hit something goes out here, I think. But we do it... This is for each... Hang on. So we break there. And then we want to break... No, we do want to break on the inside. Right? Okay, that makes sense. Because we don't want to continue looking at range. We already have one break here. Unfortunately, we can't break out to or continue to this Q index for loop here. That's just C# for you. But why are... Okay, what is this? Local variable... Oh, it's because scoping is stupid. And we only care about hitting something per quadrant. Okay, hit something. Scan, we can put that inside there. So if we hit something, we break for that block. But we continue trying for the other ones if they aren't on cooldown. Okay, cool. This, in theory, should do the thing we want it to do, so long as we did all of our maths correctly. This code is identical between these two, so I'm tempted to roll them into a function. Oh, no, they aren't. This is different. This is wrong. We specifically want to set the cooldown turret quad attack timestamp at Q index. And then this is the last action, so this gets updated. That's fine. But this is a different timer because we want to update the correct timer. Otherwise, the rest is pretty straightforward. I mean, we could probably factor this out so that it's a bool. And then we iterate through all the ranges or something. It's fine. We can maybe want to add more stuff in here later, so that's like specific for quad or not. Maybe even different visual effects. Right now they just share them for the purposes of, you know, testing. And then, yeah, we wrote that function up above. Get turret attack quad offsets. Get turret attack single offsets at. Okay, and then get spike attack offsets at. And I feel like this could be cleaned up some. Region Lance and region turret and region okay, those are there, and then oh, no, this should be pulled in. Do that there. Let's just double check these are what they should be for single and quad. This was a little bit weird because it does not follow patterns. So for range 3, 1, 2, 2, 1. Yeah, this should not be 2, 2. Patterns are real great because they will tell you if you've made a mistake and will inform you about how your transformations should look. So for example, like we have, this is a much more complicated pattern because it's the whole diamond space, whereas this one is just a single quadrant of it. Okay, and then we have up to range 5. That goes into here. So a thing that I was thinking of, since these are empty, is we could just give them a size capacity instead. So let's just say like, hey, make enough space for 8 that way they don't have to allocate that part of the array at least. We just have to allocate the offset array. Because we know we're going to have a decent number of this. I don't think you can do a reserve on this. Maybe you can? Is that valid syntax? Where you call the constructor and then do initializer? Or whatever C# calls this? I mean, it's not giving me a compiler error, so in theory, this is doing the reasonable thing. Well, it would probably be good to do for that one too. Okay. We could make that a constant. Const expected, or const int expected max range max turret range is 8. Okay. There we go. Cool. So let's give this a shot. Okay, cool. Turrets. Oh, we need to tell them to turn on. So to do this, we basically just need to change a setting in the template. So there's this attack type here, and it probably shouldn't be on the thing. This is the wrong place for this to be. Attack type should, in fact, actually be on the template. Because that's where, it's kind of where like the instance stat data goes, whereas the runtime stat stuff belongs on the controller. So there's like a bunch of copies of this when there's only one of these. Yeah, okay. This should go over here. And sure. Attack type. Gone. And then attack type, we need to pull that up higher. Where do we get? Oh, we're accessing it? Gross. Var tbt is equal to template. Attack type tbt dot attack type. And then attack type tbt dot turret building template. And then let's move that. That way we don't, we can have a local reference, which I think can be a little faster because we don't have to know if it's nulled out. Damage, range. All righto. Plus, it also means there's less references to this thing outside of this function. Makes it easier to look at this stuffs. Template, range, unregister, register. This is all in the template. That's fine. That's in pretty cold code, relatively speaking. Okay. So, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Wait, no, we need to turn it on first. So that value we need to set in the inspector. Over here, gameplay, buildings, turret. And then quad attack. And we'll see how it go. In theory, this could be pretty cool. Okay, so what we should expect to see is one attack to the HQ, and then two more attacks. One, I think, here, and then there. Well, we got no attacks. None attacks are happening. So let's put a breakpoint and see what is happening. Is it asleep? Did we not sleep ourselves correctly? Did we get any frames? Okay. We got an frame. But we fell asleep kind of quickly. So we are quad type. And we are very much on cooldown. Current quad tap timestamp. So yeah, everything is gonna be on cooldown because the time since the last timestamp, yeah. But the thing is we shouldn't like go to sleep then. But we do, which is wrong. So what should go to sleep is like when you have tried to attack all 4 directions and nothing happened, then you go put yourself to sleep. But I guess we're putting ourselves to sleep much earlier than that somewhere. So let's see about that. So that's the, like, completed, I think. I mean, we should only have 1, right? Yeah, we just have 1. So, hey, our attack type's quad. Wake up this frame is false. So we're kind of assuming that we're going to do damage immediately. Oh, because... Okay, this makes sense because the thing is we do a cooldown check below, but the previous one didn't. It just kind of set the timer above and just assumed it was off cooldown because we got that far. We know one thing is off cooldown, but we didn't necessarily record which one before resetting the timestamp. So to do this... we... maybe want to just shift this to the bottom. Or we don't want... Yeah, so we go here, and then we're like, hey, we're on the wake-up frame. Reset our timer. What is a good way of doing this? There. So we should have like 4 references for the array version 2. there, there, here, then another length, that length doesn't matter, and then we set, and then we have his quadrant equivalent here. Okay, so this is so silly. So basically we're doing this because there's like one frame where we could like be awake, but maybe things haven't moved quite into the right place, so we don't want to go to sleep on this frame. It's kind of hacky. We do it for singles, for the single attack, but it's kind of hard to not do it that way because like this is also firing code, right? Because the firing and the sleep code are really tightly bonded. And I want to do it differently now. Because, like, basically this should be on the freaking thing. So let's just move this code into the fire because it really should be there. On a success of hit something, right? That's where it should be, right? But the thing is if we put it in here, it fixes the problem because, like, we hit something. Right? So we don't have to do this check. It means that the thing didn't happen. So really, this is kind of like an if-else, right? Where we do this in the else case where we didn't hit something, but when we did hit something, we are also always resetting this. The thing is we're already setting this up here. So I'm going to just delete that there, do this here, and then also move this here. Time of last building action, which is what is used to say if something actually falls asleep. And then when we return false is when we actually, like, fall asleep, right? Which is this. Time and not platformed, yeah. Yeah, the building doesn't do anything for 6 seconds. Wait, hold on. So time of last build action plus 6. Yeah, because that's a timestamp. Wake up time plus 6 seconds plus the random offset if that is less than fixed. And we're not platformed because we don't sleep things that are on platforms. Yeah. Okay, well, if we do that, I think it's better. We still have our short circuit that doesn't do a bunch of things. You know, we really kind of don't need this, though. Because we already do one down here. Like, I honestly feel like we should just pull this into the thing below as well. And so we have just one place where we do the types of attack instead of 2 switch statements. Feel like that's just gonna be better. easier to read, certainly. So we could just be like here. And then be like, hey, we're on cooldown. We want to do a thing next frame. Yeah, I think this won't break anything, but I don't actually know. Not certain. So if we get rid of that, that's gone. And then in this case, we can just pull this into there, and we have a counter, right? So over here, be like counter, and plus equal to 1 on cooldown counter. Or if on cooldown we want to like keep setting things. Wake up time, attack counter. Fix attack time at I. It's true. Yeah, so if all of them are, we want to return immediately. But the thing is like that loop is already terminated, so it's like shrug. I guess we return true at the end, right? So it's like we look through all 4. Okay, now this code is a little bit different though here, because this code is doing some of the same stuff. I actually want to look at that. So I'll actually back out just to make sure I didn't break. Yeah, this isn't updating the timestamps. And since we do the check down here, like literally this is just redundant code. Doesn't matter. Bye. Attack cooldown, sure. Take those things, get them being real things. Okay, let's see. That's there. If we hit something, yeah, we wanted to move both of these, right? Hit something in here. And then we break out of the range loop because we only want to do once per quadrant. And then we're saying, hey, attack range cooldown reset for this particular quadrant. Time of the last building action is current. We just continuously update that. And now those are looking similar. This whole like wake up thing, we can also throw that into our side, but for the for loop. So if there was no hitting of things, reset our timers for this quadrant specifically, right? Because it means that we got through all the ranges. This is in the wrong place. This needs to be out one more. It needs to be there. Yeah, so if this quadrant hits something else, we say, hey, if this is the wake-up frame, right? If we aren't the wake-up frame, then we did a firing. We are firing, we are quote-unquote firing this frame Doesn't matter if we actually thing, but we didn't do our action. Right? I'm going to add that there. Okay, so now these do the things. These do the things. I kind of want to pull this bool out, because why not? Instead of evaluating it 4 times, can just throw it here, I guess. Is wake up frame. Is wake up frame. If we aren't the wake up frame, then we set our turret single. This is wrong. This should not be single. This is actually the specific quadrant. Turret quad attack timestamps at Q index is fixed time. There we go. That would have been gross. Would have been pew, 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 pew. Okay, cool. Let's give this a shot and see what we get. Hopefully we didn't break single. I think it's simple Lurko now. Okay. So once again, predictions. We should have 1 zap by left, 1 zap here, and then 1 zap here. Yeah! Oh, it's attacking like twice, I think. Or all the spaces? Okay. So that shouldn't hit it. This one should, but only with 1 zap. Okay, that's good. Now, this should hit it, but with 2 zaps, right? The third rotation, the top left and the bottom. So that should be 1, this should be 2. So it should do... See, that looked like a ton. That looked like way, way too many. Something's fishy there. Yeah, some cooldown thing is happening. Let's take a look. Is it because we're not... Oh! Ah, I get it. Right here. We break out of that range, but on multiple ranges we can hit the thing. That's the problem. This one... Distance, range. Okay, yeah, so theirs was actually inside the range loop to break out. We are... Yeah, this was actually correct. Because we want to break out of the iteration of the range loop. Okay, no, it was correct. Saying, hey, we have looked at all of the ranges for this quadrant, break out of the range, reset the cooldown in the case that that makes sense. So let's give that a go. Okay, so once again, prediction is that we get 3 zaps, one here, and one there. Yay! And then we get 2. And then if we have a kind of weird sort of thing where we have a turret, some money, and then the turret moves into range, we should have one shoot and then the other one shoot. I want to make this thing go to sleep though first, so it has nothing to attack, just to see if the wake code is working correctly. Actually, it's platform, so it'll never move. It would be better if they pushed a thing into us, but in theory, it should zap this one and this one, actually in the same frame. Yeah, there we go. Because of just the directionality of it. Let's do that setup. And that way we'll get a little desync between them. Let's go that way. There. If we do that, we'll kill the first one, then we'll zap the bottom, and then we'll also have... Oh, that wire's gone. I was going to say, we'll zap that part. Oops. No, don't kill all the wires. Testing. I am testing for science. All right, it looks like we are successful on this first front. I don't know if we're going to get to the second thing, which is the health bar. You can actually see what it looks like. You get that little like build there. See it better on like a longer building. Or if a building takes damage. So like if I have my mouse over here, we want to make some changes to it. So we'll see. Oh, I should do a line of sight check just to be sure. Break line of sight. Yeah, no line of sight. It's fine. We're good. All right, so we'll zap this one. This will fail line of sight for a second. And then we'll get another zap on this one. Wait, why not? Okay, there's the zap. Oh, it missed the cooldown. Yeah, because they're all synchronized. Yeah, because they go on cooldown at the same time. So they're always going to be that way. That's cool. So this is doing only a single hit, but if we moved it up 1, it's going to do a double hit. Because it's within range of 2 quadrants. If we move it... There's no place actually that we do 3 hits to this single thing. Okay, if we went here, we'll get this bottom one and that one, but it needs to like extend out. Okay, let's give this a go. And this is to make turrets more interesting to fight against and whatnot. Like, why are we doing this? This is for that purpose. Okay, so if we go here, go. And then it's gonna like do a bunch of ranged attacks, which is pretty sweet. All right, I think we are victorious. It seems to work well. I want to do a quick test where we just kind of stress test it up to that range of 8, just so that we know the dynamic part is working correctly. So attack range 8, attack cooldown. Let's just do a like 0.5. It's gonna be a lot of attacks, and we'll see what that looks like. We'll see what that looks like. Oh wait, I actually don't know if I have... Oh no, I do have attack space up to 8. Right. Okay. Wait, no, it's broken. I need to add more sprites. I think we go up to 6. 8 is so huge. Okay, let's bring it down to 6. These things here. Yeah, we go up to 6. Maybe we want to go up to 8. I don't know. It gets kind of to be an insane texture size, but it's also like a bunch of repeat. There we go. I think we have people actually snipe that guy. The Punisher. Oh no, it's gonna kill the enemy. Stop it. I wanna kill things. I don't know, that's weird. Things weren't building. Oh, I didn't maybe have money? Okay. We need to make this strong enough that it doesn't literally kill it in a second. We'll do just 2 here. There we go. Oh, yeah. Those are brutal. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, this is perfect. This makes me happy. Okay, let's see. We've been live for an hour and a half. I think that's a good place to call it. Probably going to work on the health bar off stream, but maybe I'll be motivated to do something else in the future. Thanks for dropping by. I'll probably post this up on YouTube. It's just like a yo, hello people. But yeah, take care. You'll have a good one. Bye.